Morning. Um, I know the picture is grainy. It's not important how I look. It's important what I say. Um, my name's Lisa. I live in Canada. And when I finally got my second COVID vaccination in June of 2021, I immediately booked a fantastic trip to Ecuador to visit the Galapagos Islands. Now, I would not have gone with this particular company, G Adventures, had I known they were situated in Toronto. Because I can say unequivocally that if you want to get screwed around by an airline or a travel company or a car rental agency or a hotel, you're going to find that happens every time if they're situated in Ontario and in Quebec. I really believe that the constant um, placing of headquarters and businesses in the Toronto area is seriously taking away all of our customer service. Look what they did to the Hudson's Bay. They just basically gutted it with crappy policies. I tried to return a dress to Hudson Bay in Winnipeg at the beginning of 2020 after so many shutdowns. And I was informed that I could not return it. It had been too long, even though the security tag was still on the dress, because they had been open during COVID. And my question was the dress department was deemed essential services. So basically, anything that comes from a poison center of Toronto or Montreal, you're going to find that kind of crap going on. So I booked my vacation with G Adventures. I have no qualms with the tour was amazing, but I do with its management. Apparently, the guy who owns it started out in the West, which made him into a better human until he decided to move his operations to Toronto. After I booked my tour, I made so many calls just trying to confirm things and get information to be literally abused by some jerk in Toronto who would say, no, this, no, that, give me misinformation, tell me to bring the wrong things. Like they were just assholes. I actually thought the company was in the UK. Because if I phoned early enough, I got to talk to someone in the UK, be treated kindly, get proper information, and not have an abusive experience. But alas, I found out on my return the company was in Toronto after they charged me for my last night in a hotel that I didn't use and had canceled 6 weeks prior. But they said, so sad, too bad, hotel's keeping your money. But then the hotel confirmed that they had refunded G Adventures. And when I pointed that out, after some time, they did refund me. But this does not happen with Air Canada. So just so you know, Air Canada is one of Trudeau's bitches. So anything Air Canada does that's illegal, unfair, unethical, they can get away with because they have the stamp of approval of our government because they're in shithole Montreal. Pff, what else do you need to know? What does Montreal have? Oh, fledgling via organization. They took away Western travel. Way to go. And they have Air Canada. And they have a company called Flight Hub. So for my trip, I bought my plane ticket directly on Copa Airlines website. Copa Airlines is in Panama City and they fly to southern destinations. But unfortunately, they are stupid enough, and stupid is not even strong enough a word, to partner with the likes of Air Canada. So that means, and much like when you go to Europe, your first leg of your travel may be a flight that you book with Lufthansa or another airline, and it's operated by Air Canada, which means, yeah, you're on a crappy plane, your seat might be broken, you'll be lucky to get food, and you will be abused by the people working, the stewards and stewardesses, because the international ones are assholes for Air Canada. They just don't give a rat's ass about you, to be honest. So I bought this ticket online on their website from Copa. And the first leg was Winnipeg to Toronto, just a one way. And I had to overnight in, of course, Canada's lovely asshole of a city, Toronto, and pay an exorbitant amount for a hotel, which was likely to be dirty, which is what you find in Toronto. Unless you're paying $300, you've got cockroaches, maybe bed bugs. You got to be very, very careful and dishonest, just dishonest. So I booked this ticket. I booked my hotel for that first night in Toronto. And in the morning, I'm to get up and get on the Copa plane at the Toronto airport and go to Panama and then Ecuador. So I kept getting notifications saying my Air Canada, that first leg, had changed. So they kept changing the time to the point where they were saying my flight was at 9:30 at night. And when I called, no, I didn't call. You can't call Air Canada. They don't care. They don't answer the phone. Once we were stranded in a hallway in Toronto with like 2,000 people, and they continued to lie to us and say that the flights would go out. But what they'd done is reroute every plane they had to Quebec to get everyone home that was from Quebec by taking all the planes that were going west. So we were actually stranded there for 2 days. And the only reason I found out was I called my Air Miles card, which is an office in Vancouver, and they told me the truth. So there you go. Anyway, in the morning, like at 10 a.m. or 9:30, I went to the airport. This is the only way you can talk to Air Canada. And they claimed I had no ticket. And I said, well, what do you mean? I'm going to Ecuador. If I miss this stupid 2-hour flight to Toronto, I'm going to miss my entire tour. Did not care. They pretended they didn't know who I was, yada, yada, gave me a whole line of bullshit. And they said, you have to call the third party who issued the ticket. I said, I booked directly on Copa. I had no other information on my ticket. And I had a confirmation number, which Air Canada said was not their 7-digit ticketing number, so they did not accept it. They told me to leave the airport because they wouldn't help me at the airport. They were so quick to lie and tell me to go home, go online, and book another ticket. So I booked another ticket, $672 to fly to Canada's asshole for one night. But that's what I had to do. So I booked a ticket, and when checking in that day, because I found out I was booked on flights that were canceled, because that's what Air Canada will leave you behind. And they have Trudeau's blessing to do so. Not only will they leave you anywhere, they will not pay for you to be stranded where you're stranded, and they will not give you your money back on a ticket because Trudeau has blessed their dirty happenings, and he's all behind it. So in the US, they don't get away with this shit. But in Canada, don't get on an Air Canada flight is the message here. So I pay this full fare, and as I'm checking in, the attendant says to me, this is odd. 5 times they tried to issue you a ticket. She said, Flight Hub has been trying to get your Air Canada ticket issued for weeks on this flight, on the flight today. So first person tells me the truth, of course, accidentally, right? This is an accident on her. Probably she got fired for telling the truth and working for Air Canada at the same time. Not allowed. So anyway, Flight Hub is another shithole agency in Montreal. You want to see stupidity at work? There it is. And it's run by a bunch of dishonest people that just won't talk to you. They don't answer their phone. They don't give you information. They act like they don't know what's going on. It's all a scam. So I believe that Flight Hub and Air Canada and Trudeau with Trudeau backing them are two criminal companies that are just stealing from us. So apparently Copa, who partners with Air Canada, uses Flight Hub to book their tickets. Copa is idiotic. I wrote the president in Panama City more than once. The second letter just got returned. It was returned to me on February 22nd of last year. I got it last week. Yeah, Canada Post, everybody. It's not Canada Post. It's Ontario, Quebec Post, and screw the rest of you Post. So anyway, I wrote them, and COPA responded directly to me and said, listen, we have spoken to Air Canada. You will be refunded for that Air Canada ticket. Yeah, as if Air Canada. Oh, and there's a complaint process, which is like every Canadian consumer complaint process. Ha ha, a big joke. Air Canada says, well, you weren't on that flight, so you can't ask for a refund. What a joke, right? The flight they wouldn't let me on. I can't get it refunded because I didn't get on the plane and I don't have their 7-digit ticket number. And I can't ask for a refund on the flight I paid for because I took the flight. Yeah, that's how beautiful consumer protection is. So I begin to call Flight Hub and text them, well, not call, text. So 27 messages go back and forth between me and Flight Hub. And Flight Hub finally says, this has been resolved. You will be getting your money back for your Air Canada ticket of $6.72, and we're also giving you an equal amount credit to use on Flight Hub. Yeah, it sounds so good, right? They send it in an email. You think if you've got them, and what do? They auto delete that email in a few weeks so you never see it. And I believe I printed it, but what am I going to do? Sue Flight Hub? Like, no one cares. Social media is the only place where you can force someone to their knees. I truly believe that. But in Canada, where we protect everything, in Montreal and Toronto, corruption will never be butt out. And in fact, it's getting worse and worse and worse because our immigration policy focuses on bringing people from countries that speak French. Never mind the character, ethics, and values of the people we're bringing in, because they just do their own thing when they get here. So basically, women are losing rights. And if you're dealing with any company that rips you off and it's run by people from a corrupt country, well, as if you're going to get your money. It's like dealing with Haiti. I might as well call Haiti and ask them for money. So anyway, and no one can say that Haiti is a well-run place. Come on now. And look what happens to women there, right? Rape is the national sport in Haiti. Anyway, so Flight Hub confirms I get this. Hasim Adim, a Muslim guy, confirms I got my credit, yada, yada, yada. Months later, I go to use the credit. I'm going to book a trip to Vegas and I want to access that credit. I phone Flight Hub. They tell me that doesn't exist. But first, I try and book online using the credit. So I try many ways. Their website's there. I can see the ticket I want. It meets all the conditions. It had to be not an economy ticket, not business, but something in between. Anyway, so I'm trying to book. Doesn't work. So I call them. And the guy tells me, no, Flight Hub website is no longer real. This is someone at Flight Hub. Oh, no, we've been bought out by a firm in Texas and they won't help me. They say, no, we don't recognize your credit. You can't use it on this flight. The guy would not let me book and use the credit. So then I end up in a conversation with someone in Texas. They say Flight Hub is under some sort of receivership. Wasn't what it was. That was a bold-faced lie. And I'm going to continue this.